Over my career, I've bought domain names from providers like GoDaddy, Cloudflare, Hostinger, Namecheap, Porkbun, and even Name.com. I've researched many others, but I feel like if you ever need to buy a domain name separately, Porkbun is your best choice. Why is that? Well, first of all, the pricing. Your domain name is a yearly subscription, therefore you're going to have to pay for it each year. Some providers like GoDaddy offer the domain for 1 cent if you prepay for 3 years, which seems like a really good deal. But year 2 and year 3 will cost you $22 each. In total, it's $44 for 3 years, while Porkbun has a stable and transparent pricing, just $10.37 a year, or a total of around $31 for 3 years. And keep in mind that domain names aren't like web hosting, where cheaper means it's worse. It's just a name. There are no technical specifications behind it, so buy as cheap as possible. The only thing I suggest looking out for is an add-on service called a domain privacy. Normally, since domain names are your property, you must provide your full contact information like name, address, phone number, and all of that juicy stuff when registering them. In case you use your domain name for crimes, it needs to be traced back to you. The downside of this is that without domain privacy, anyone can type in your website name into the public whois database and get contact information and like your name, address, email, all that stuff. But with domain privacy on, all of it is marked as redacted and would only be presented to law enforcement if needed, not available to everyone 24/7. Some domain name providers like Name.com charge an additional $10 a year for domain privacy, but Porkbun includes it for free with every name you buy, so you don't really need to worry about that. And obviously, there are more paid add-ons like the GoDaddy's full domain protection that's recommended for $12 a year to protect you from hackers. But it's trash. All it does is it adds two-factor authentication to your account, which is enabled on all other providers by default. It quite literally does next to nothing. So if domain privacy is included, don't buy any other add-ons. They're all a ripoff. Actually, a common misconception is that companies sell domain names, while in reality, these domain names are actually owned by registries, often controlled by government institutions, and can only be leased or rented by users. The companies that sell domain names are only acting as a middleman between these domain registries and you. So the only difference between different providers is the domain management panel. Everything else is literally out of their control. In general, for a good panel, all you need to have is access to the DNS settings and access to the name servers. This way, you can link your domain name with any web hosting server or service at any time by changing the name servers to the ones your web hosting provider uses, or simply pointing the IP address of your game server or website or EVPS using the DNS settings. Again, Porkbun gives you access to both, while something like Cloudflare, which is even cheaper by the way and is an excellent choice if you're a bit tech savvy, but it does not give you access to the name servers. This means to properly link your domain name purchased from Cloudflare and your web hosting server, you would need to manually redirect and replicate all of these different records instead of just copy-pasting the two values like you would do with the name servers. But to be fair, Cloudflare does offer the cheapest domains on the market because they don't charge a premium on top of it. You pay what it costs them to register it, and keep in mind that domain names are not refundable. Once you register a domain name, it's your property. The domain provider has no right to do anything with the domain. So even if you ask them to refund it, they simply cannot because it doesn't belong to them, it belongs to you right after you register it. This way we avoid situations where rich people bully or bribe providers into giving them the best names even if they're already registered. Additionally, for a website to work, you'll need more than just a name. You'll also need a web hosting server where you store all of your website files, and the domain name is just an easy to remember way to link people to those files. So in a lot of cases, when you're buying a web hosting service like Hostinger, the domain name comes as part of the package. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You don't need to go out of your way and buy the name separately. You can 100% use your web hosting provider, and it's perfectly safe. Of course, there have been some reported cases where people are sure that their domains are being held hostage by their server providers, and if they're being forced to renew the server just to gain access to their domains. But I personally never ran into this issue. I can't deny or confirm it. Of course, most of these allegations are made against GoDaddy, so in general, it is a good idea to stay away from them because you're not even getting a good deal. I have been using Hostinger for most of my websites. Their packages are like $3 to $4 a month and come with absolutely everything you need for a website right out of the box. If you plan to create a site, I highly recommend it. You can get 10% off any plan using the links in the description. And then once you're ready to create your website, check out this tutorial where I go over step by step on how to make sure everything works perfectly with no technical skills. Good luck creating your websites, and I'll see you around.